There is an insanely powerful tool in composition that if you use, it'll change how you make music, probably forever. Many of you are using it unknowingly, and many of you don't know it, don't use it, and as a result, your music is generally speaking not where it could be. It's called the rule of three, and this is not something I made up. It's something you can analyze in music across not just the past decade, 2 decades, or even several decades. This is something that you can analyze in music over the course of literally hundreds of years. And as producers, songwriters, and composers, you need to know this because it's proven to work over and over again. Now, before I share this with you, inevitably many of you will find plenty of popular examples of music that breaks this rule. Heck, Nine Inch Nails didn't exactly follow traditional musical convention, nor did Dream Theater, nor did Philip Glass, or many other composers, artists, and producers who intentionally break convention. So this rule is a guideline, one that you can break, but if you don't know it, then you may be breaking it unintentionally or in a way that is not truly on purpose. So here it is. The rule of three is all about how many times you should repeat musical ideas and what to do to prevent over-repetition. And it actually has a lot to do with our brains and how our brains process information. If I say something to you once, then it's an idea that you've heard one time. If I say it a second time, it's reinforcing that idea. But if I say it a third time, this is where things get a little bit weird, because in some cases, it further enforces a concept, but in most cases, this is where our brain will actually begin to tune it out. So how does this correlate to music? I'm going to demonstrate what I mean. So if I play a musical idea, a 4-bar progression with a melody, something like this, now, if I play that just one time, like I just did, you're listening to that as a first-time listener. You've never heard it before, so it's intriguing, and you're interested. It piques the interest of your brain, which makes it easy to listen to start to finish. If I repeat this idea again, and instead play it twice, back to back, like this, now your brain has reinforced this musical idea internally. In other words, at this point, you could probably sing it back to me. Dun, 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 right? Pretty simple. Your mind has remembered how it sounds, has caught on to the cue that it's a repetition. But if I play it 3 times in a row, like this, 1, 2, by the 3rd time, your brain is actually automatically making decisions, potentially without you even knowing about it. Primarily, that you are now losing interest. This is why the rule of 3 is so important. When you write or produce a musical concept like a 4-bar phrase, like what I just played, many amateurs are going to continue looping this idea, repeating it way too much. Repeating something beyond 3 times is, generally speaking, overusing that idea. And actually, using it more than 2 times is overusing it. Now, you may be tempted to click off this video and think you get it, but hang with me, because there's more. A line I say very often inside of my program Producer Accelerator and to my students when I give feedback, and specifically when it comes to these types of situations when there is excessive repetition, it's this: too much of a good thing is no longer a good thing. Really think about that. Too much of a good thing is no longer a good thing. Now I want you to notice something. Did you notice how I just repeated that a second time, that phrase? That actually reinforced the idea that I'm trying to get across to you. Too much of a good thing is no longer a good thing. See what happened again? Upon me saying that a 3rd time, it's pretty likely that you've already internally started to feel like, yeah, you said that already. I get it. Do you follow? But the saying is true. If I were to say that line, that saying 3 times, by that 3rd time, you get it. You'll understand the point. Okay, let's move on to something different, right? This is also why if I show my wife a new song and I continue showing it to her over and over and over and over again because I'm excited, guess what? After a handful of times listening, my wife will essentially no longer like that song. It gets old, it's overused, overdone. The rule of 3 is all about how to capture attention and then hold it without abusing it. This is the name of the game when it comes to creating music that is compelling. And I do have to note that if you don't care about holding someone's attention, do what you want. But I think most of us want to create music that others will genuinely enjoy and listen to and want to re-listen to. But if you are over-repeating ideas and breaking this convention, the rule of 3, you are inevitably losing attention and losing interest. So you're probably thinking, what should I do then? It's simple. There are really 2 options that I typically am aiming for. The first is that you play an idea, like the one that we did, repeat it 1 time, so you're playing it 2 times in total. This is reinforcing the concept because obviously if you only play it once, then it's not enough time for the brain to truly remember. If I were to play that melody for you, you've never heard it before, and I only play it 1 time, it's more likely that you'll actually not remember it. You probably won't be able to sing it back to me, but if I play it twice, you're more likely to remember it. In the third time, you have the first option, which is to simply go somewhere different musically. It could be a new melody with the same chords, or it could be a new progression along with a new melody. The second option is to start the concept the same the third time, but instead go somewhere different with it, maybe halfway through that idea or the progression. So you're starting the same, but going somewhere different. So let me actually demonstrate each. So here's the first option where I'm gonna play this through and I'm gonna go somewhere completely different. So I'm gonna play it as if this is the second time I'm playing it. Da, 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 da. It sounds related. I'm using the same chord progression, but musically we've gone somewhere completely different. And again, this piques interest because all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is something different. This is something new. I don't know where we're going. And these are the types of things that tell our brains you should keep listening because you don't know where it's going to go. If your brain is always knowing where it's going to go, then why listen? Here's the second option where I'm going to start at the same, but then I'm going to go somewhere different. Start the same. So we started the same, right? The same. So you're thinking, oh, okay, we're just going to repeat this again, right? And then it goes somewhere different. So it's starting in such a way where it's like, oh yeah, I've heard this before. But you haven't because we're going to go somewhere different. So these are two really great options, and each of these options has a good place in music, and it's going to depend on the context and what you really want to accomplish. And this is where we can get really creative. Something I believe wholeheartedly in is making intentional musical decisions. If you want to make better music, then stop guessing and instead truly think about what you want to do with your music. What are your goals with the song? What response do you want the audience to have by listening to it? And use these choices to guide your musical decisions. It's all about being intentional. When you are intentional, it means you can more consistently create music that is more meaningful and less random. The rule of three is simple, but after teaching almost 1,000 producers in the past year and a half, this is one of the biggest mistakes I see. I run weekly feedback calls, and this is a mistake that I correct very regularly. And if you fix this mistake, it will change how you make music. If you think this video is helpful and want help producing music better, you resonate with the way that I'm explaining things, I have an entire workshop that I created that covers the production roadmap. It's a step-by-step process I follow to creating music. It's already helped thousands of producers worldwide. I think it's going to help you too. It's basically a summary of how to make better choices when making music so you aren't shooting in the dark. You can watch that right here. I'll see you there.